That's true. Well, I feel like the last 2 years we've been asking you for an update on when you're going to return, when you're going to fight Conor, this and that, but we find out, less than 24 hours ago, you're not fighting Conor, you're fighting Charles Oliveira instead in Madison Square Garden. So I guess how soon did this come about? And we saw your video explaining why you're fighting Charles, but I guess, what's it like to now not be thinking of Conor McGregor for right now?
Oh, I'm still going to be thinking about Conor McGregor. Conor McGregor, as I asserted at the very beginning, Conor McGregor is still not off the hook. Conor McGregor's road back to the UFC still goes through Nashville, Tennessee, and Michael Chandler. We must finish TUF 31. It has to happen. We're at the same weight class. It was too long of a build-up for it not to happen, but as I kind of laid out in my YouTube video that I already filmed an instant reaction. I've known this for 4 weeks, but I'm a consummate professional, so nothing is ever going to leak. My lips are sealed. No matter how much media reaches out to me, no matter how much people want to reach out to me, I do things by the book. But the first 25 months that I was signed with the organization, fight of the night after fight of the night, fighting everybody, fighting for the title. That's what I do. I'm an active guy. I'm constantly in shape. I'm constantly training. So it was time for me. It was time for me to make a pivot, only because of the timeline. And you guys can ask Dana how long the timeline was going to be until Conor actually comes back. But it was too long for me. I'm not waiting around. We had a fight booked January 29th. He pulls out of the fight. Immediately we start looking at other options. I almost was going to fight tonight here. It was offered to Max. I respect Max because Max is a champion. Max is going to go beat Ilia Topuria, I believe. Other options were on the table, but here we are. Now I'm fighting Charles, #1 contender fight. And I've always wanted to chase the title. That's always been my goal. I beat Charles. And then if Conor can get his house in order finally, then he and I can finish that. If not, I'll go beat Islam.
There's a lot to unpack there, so I guess I'll start. Did you approach the UFC, or did they approach you about possibly not fighting Conor?
I don't know. There's been a lot of talks. That was the one thing when everybody was constantly saying, hey, why is Chandler sticking around? Why is Chandler waiting around? This guy's never coming back. I had so much more assurances behind the scenes than any of you guys know, than any of the fighters know, than any of the fans know. Constantly in contact with Dana and Hunter at all times. And I've got a great relationship with them, and we have a very mutually beneficial, symbiotic relationship where they trust me, they know who I am, and I trust them. And so we've had constant communication the entire time, but I don't remember exactly how it went, except for the fact that as soon as Conor pulled out of the fight, it was, hey, if we can't book this thing in September,
right.
August 31st was the first date that got thrown out, September. If we can't do it by then, and if it's going to trickle into 2025, I'll go bet on myself. In 2009, a young, dumb 18-year-old kid with a dream in his heart walked on to the University of Missouri and bet on himself. And then in 2020, the Bellator, the mainstay, the biggest name in Bellator, walked on and took a chance on himself and went to the UFC. And I could have came here and lost my first 2 fights and been cut and been selling insurance somewhere. So I bet on myself, and this is what I do. It's a constant reoccurring theme in my life. I'm going to go bet on myself. I'm going to beat Charles Oliveira, and then the Conor fight becomes even bigger.
So 303 was the breaking point in terms of all right, we have to move on for now.
It was the most real thing that we had, right? Because for over a year, it was dates thrown out, and there was all kinds of stuff going on. But we actually had a contract. I got a bout agreement, and I signed it. Conor McGregor, June 29th, at this weight, at this venue, and then he pulls out of the fight. So it was the one that stung the most, obviously, but this has happened to me before. In all of my hundreds of wrestling matches and 31 fights, I've never missed weight, I've never pulled out of a fight, and Conor's never pulled out of a fight. So even all the way up until the moment that Hunter Campbell called me on a Thursday, 14 days before the fight, I still believed that Conor was going to show up even if there was an injury. And I'm not going to say he's not dedicated and fully invested in the craft anymore, but I believe it's a testament to who I am. And if he was lined up against anybody else not named Michael Chandler, he would have shown up on June 29th.
And I know you said you had that contract, but you did the Ultimate Fighter, and there were rumored dates even before the June fight that you were supposed to have. So if the UFC had come to you and said, he might not fight in 2 years, would this even have been a conversation, or would you have already fought by then?
No. Originally it was going to be September after the Ultimate Fighter, and it's, once again, it can be looked at by the people who are not close and to the situation and not privy to the information that the UFC strung this whole thing along. Nobody was more upset about this thing falling through than the UFC and myself. We have worked together on this. Myself and especially Hunter Campbell have had dozens and dozens of in-person and on-the-phone conversations about this whole thing. And they wanted it to happen just as much as I did. I lost a lot of money. They put a lot of promotion into the whole thing. So they were victims of this thing, so to speak, right? But this is what we do. We move forward. And we keep going, and now here we are. And I think this is the greatest opportunity of my life.
And this Max fight you mentioned, was that actually realistic, or did it just start a conversation? It didn't really get past that?
No, I think it was realistic for me because I was already in camp, in shape, ready to go. And I bring that up not to, guys throw these things out there to act like tough guys. I don't do this to act like a tough guy. If I was Max, I wouldn't have taken the fight either. I was pumped up that maybe that was a possible opportunity. Chandler versus Holloway, BMF belt at the Sphere tonight. But if I was him, I wouldn't have taken it either. He was on vacation or doing something. He was enjoying some well-deserved time off and wasn't ready to come into a camp and fight a guy like me. So that's a fight that I think is going to happen in 2025, and I'm excited about it. So it's Oliveira, it's Islam, it's Conor, it's Max. We got some huge fights coming up, and they're all going to be excited. You all are going to be there. You all are going to be covering it. And you're all going to be on the edge of your seats.
And I think one of the stories that people haven't talked about, but you were really excited to get a opportunity to fight in Las Vegas.
This is so bad.
I know.
This is so crazy that I've been signed with the organization this long. Yeah. And here I am now fighting at Madison Square Garden for the fourth time. And I'm going to get fight of the night, performance of the night again. But it's actually pretty comical because all I wanted to do was fight in Las Vegas, Nevada. All right, so if we can make that happen after I beat Charles, that would be great.
And the last one for me, the Charles matchup, obviously, the first fight everyone remembers, one of the better fights of that year until he caught you. What do you make of Charles now? And, obviously, since then, he became champion, lost the belt, but every fight he's also been, it seems like, fight of the night.
Charles is that guy, man. Charles, I've got so much respect for him. I think he knows that, and I know he's got respect for me. He's a guy I want to compete against. I've never been a guy who's ever looked back and said, I want that one back. I want to beat that guy. I want to right that wrong. But when these rematches happen, I'm excited for them because I know the mistakes that I've made. I know where I was in my mind. I've matured so much as a man, so much as a fighter since that fight in Houston, Texas. And that's part of it too, is maybe this is how it was supposed to be the entire time. That I was supposed to lose to Charles to then have a redemption story to beat Charles, and then get my title shot to finally become the UFC champion, to finally become and cement myself as the #1 guy in the world.
Hi, Michael. I'm just curious, what do you think the delay is with Conor?
I know what the delay is, but I can't tell you guys. No, not really. Maybe. I don't know. It's the one thing, everybody, and see, the funny thing about me is I've always given my opponents a ton of respect, right? I think you guys have felt that. You guys have seen that. Maybe probably too much because we're all supposed to be tough guys and hate each other and act like a bunch of pugilist idiots, but that's not me. I respect a man who leaves his family and becomes a different human being for 12 weeks at a time to do what we do. And I look at a guy like Conor, and I respect him and who he is, and there's a difference between booking Conor McGregor for a fight and booking every single person here in Las Vegas tonight, booking me, booking everybody else in the entire sport. It's just different. So there's different things to consider. There's different dates that need to be thrown out. There's very few limited dates that you can put Conor McGregor on. There's different venues that you can't put Conor McGregor on. There's different locations that you can't put Conor McGregor on. So it's bigger, and there's a lot more layers. So I can't speak to why it's not happening, but either way, I love the fight against Conor. I will fight Conor in 2025, but right now we're going to pivot and we're going to beat Charles.
Has he sent you any DMs? I know he's famous for his social media activity.
He is not. He's not. Conor and I haven't spoken since The Ultimate Fighter. A little bit here on tweets, which is obviously public. You guys can see that stuff. No, I mean, I think he's doing his thing. I'm doing my thing. I've always just done my thing. I got a job to do. My job is to train every single day, serve my family, and work on my businesses and try to be the best human I can be, and that's what I'm trying to do.
And last one for me. What did you learn about yourself in those years waiting for him?
I needed it. I think I needed it. I needed the time away from the sport for a second. I needed to have it taken away from me for a second to really have the gratitude for the sport. You guys see the passion in which I fight with. You guys see the passion in which these men and women fight with every single weekend. But we are still human beings, and we do falter and we do fall, and we do get tired of this thing. It's tough. It's painful. It's sacrifice. It's not fun a lot of the times. And when I came into the UFC and in 25 months had 6 training camps, which is, a full year away from my family, like a full year away from my family, 365 days that my sons didn't get read to at night. My sons didn't have their dad there to feed them at night and pray with them and be there present. And then my wife being a single mom, it takes a toll on you. And every single fight was huge. Every single fight was do or die. Every single fight was scary. So I had to put so much into it. So I got burnt out a little bit. I needed a little bit of time off, and that's the way I looked at it. It was perfect for me. This last training camp didn't result in a fight actually happening, but it was the best training camp of my life. I loved the sport. I served my teammates better. I was a better leader. I was a better man. I was a better fighter. I was more present and more happy, and that's where I still am, and I'm excited to start camp on Monday and fight Charles in 63 days.
Michael,
Thank you.
straight ahead. Without giving away too much, what are some things from the top of your head that you would approach differently for the rematch with Charles Oliveira, where it's preparation or inside the cage itself?
You guys saw Chandler 1.0, and I believe Chandler 2.0 is a completely different beast. I think I needed to come in. I needed to prove myself right away, and I think I asked for the toughest fights right away. I sat in an office here a couple of miles away with Hunter Campbell, and I said, "Hey, Hunter, I want to be a good thing for your organization, and I want to fight the toughest guys right away. I want to fight the toughest competition in the entire world. Throw me into the shark-infested waters, and either I sink or swim. Either I am who I say or I am not." And I had to go out there and I had to try to prove myself. And then this little bit of hiatus away from the sport really made me realize that I was created to become UFC champion. And I'm thinking differently now. I'm approaching the sport differently. I'm approaching training differently. So this Chandler 2.0 is going to be a different beast. And I go out there and I beat Charles Oliveira, not the way that you guys have seen me fight recently. So I needed a moment to step away from the sport.
Michael, is part of you pissed off at Conor?
No, man. I mean, I'm not going to let another man control my emotions and let another man control my life. Over the last year and a half, it's been an ebb and flow and an up and down of craziness. You guys see the way he lives his life. You guys see the tweets. You guys see the media machine, the constant attention that Conor McGregor is. And me being the guy on the other side, who I'm just a quieter guy by nature when it comes to not trying to put myself in the headlines nonstop and not trying to be a part of the conversation all the time. I'm not mad at him at all. I wish Conor the best. He has earned every right to be in the position that he is. He has earned every right to do what he wants to do, operate the way that he wants to operate. But like I said, his road back to the UFC goes through Nashville, Tennessee, and Michael Chandler. That's it.
Have you
Michael,
lost any respect for him?
No. I mean, I think he's exactly who we think he is, right? But I don't think he is who we think he is from his public persona. I think he's different than his caricature that he leads on to be. I think he's romantic about the sport. I think he is very grateful for the sport of mixed martial arts. He would not be anything without the sport of mixed martial arts. He would be nothing without the UFC. I think he knows that. He doesn't say it publicly because he's constantly watches and boats and all that stuff. But he's romantic about the sport. He loves the sport. He loves these arenas. We got 6 TVs in here right now. This beautiful event in Las Vegas, Nevada. These men and women pouring their hearts out. He wants that. He needs that, and he will come back to the UFC. And he's going to fight me.
Michael, you've never wavered the longest this goes on about you're going to be the guy for Conor when he comes back, even when other names have been floated out there, et cetera, et cetera. Do you remain that confident no matter what happens in these next, let's say, 6 or so months, that you will still be the guy regardless if another guy, another contender just starts making noise?
Yeah, I don't think that happens. I think the public perception is, you know, Conor thinks he can come back and dictate who he comes back and fights. Let him think that. Maybe it's true, maybe it's not. But more than anything, 4 weeks ago, I whiteboarded an entire path out with my wife Bree, who is the most wise person I've ever been around in my entire life. And we made this decision. We sat down and we said, we're pivoting, we're fighting Charles Oliveira, and this is why. There's 5 different reasons why. And see, we got 6 TVs in here, and people are getting knocked out over here at Noche. I don't really concern myself with it because I got a job to do November 16th at the world's most iconic arena on a night where John Jones is making his return, Stipe's making his return. Both guys have talked about retiring, so this is a huge fight.
Michael,
Yes.
I'm not sure if you like read comments or read DMs or whatever, but has it been frustrating dealing with fans saying, "Oh, Michael Chandler threw his career away. Michael Chandler's like he's delusional, waiting for Conor." Like, I'm sure you get it every single day on social media.
Every single day, every single post, every single moment. Yes.
Do you just kind of laugh it off? Does it annoy you? Does it not bother you?
I'm a human being. I'm a human being who loves other human beings. Like I could sit here with all of you guys and we can talk about our struggles. We can talk about our lives. We can talk about our families. I'm just a relationship type of person. I think God created us for relationship and community. I'm a lot deeper than most people. So yeah, when I see comments and I just wonder what is going on with someone's mind or heart or spirit whenever they say the things that they're saying. Part of it is just social media. I'm also convinced that half of it is bot farms and fake hate and fake division and fake venom. But I've always been steadfast that I am a one-man show on this earth, and I have a job to do, and I have a family to serve, and I've got blinders on, and I just do what I do, and I'm running my own race, and I'm not really worried about the critics, because ultimately the critics are weighing in on my life. And this is the position that I asked for, and this is the position that I put myself in. So I'm going to get criticism, but I stand steadfast and confidently on my own 2 feet that I've made the right decision. And here I am once again betting on myself. So we'll see what the haters and the critics say now when a guy like me, which all these other fighters act like they would have pivoted and fought somebody else or whatever, but they all would have waited for this Conor fight. You got a contract with Conor McGregor, the biggest star in the sport. You're not pivoting. I'm pivoting, and I'm going to go bet on myself and beat Charles Oliveira.
Thank you.
Thank you.